Check, check, check. Yo, what up? Sounds of DJ Spinna. Man, I'm so glad we're making this happen. It's been a long time since we've had a behind the scenes catch up session and touch base with one of my friends and collaborators. We got a few of these in over the last couple of years, but it's nice to be back, and especially to have the one and only Spinna join us. He's in the waiting room, so let's tap him in. Man, thank you for joining us today. I know we're all mad busy, and the community is hyped to be able to just kick back and hear us chop it up and throw some questions around too.
Of course, man. Got to make time for friends. That's one thing we learned in this pandemic is you can't take time away. So you got to make the best of it. And one of the ways of making best of it is reconnecting.
Right. Just, conversation, and like so often, you know what it's like. We might see each other at some festival in some country for a couple of hours randomly, but it's not often it's like, let's take a pause and just connect,
Right.
Yeah, man. Man, that, that beat I was just playing as we were waiting to kick off. That was the first thing I ever heard of yours. Was that Compositions 1 EP?
Right.
And I was in Japan, and it must have been before Jazzy Sport opened. So maybe it was Disc Union or one of those spots. And I feel like maybe they were playing it or I saw it, but man, I was like, I have to buy this like immediately. I don't know who this is, but I need this shit in my life. That was monumental, man.
Thank you, bro. And what's funny?
What's that?
Not to cut you, but do you remember? Well, you probably do remember because you reached out to me. But do you remember how we connected?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I think I know my version. Which might be, I don't know, maybe different, but...
Well, I'll say mine from what I recollect.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that.
I was asked to do a remix for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, I received your record in the mail with a note. And that note, you expressed your admiration for that Compositions record. Does that sound right?
I mean, that sounds pretty right. I mean, I know I definitely, when I made that record, it was 6 Degrees. And I remember in the liner notes kind of wanting to shout out people who I felt like had influenced me, whether I knew them or not. And you were definitely one of those. So
wow.
I was like, man, wow. I don't know who this cat is, but I'm reaching out to him.
Wow.
I mean, like, but before that record came out in the UK, the year before, it came out in New Zealand. And I was saying to a friend of mine, who you actually know, Sam Gribben.
Yeah, I know Sam. Yeah.
Yeah, so before Serato was even a thought. And Sam and I were hanging out, and I was playing him the 6 Degrees album. And he was like, so what are you going to do now? I'm like, well, I'm going to go overseas and, just probably connect with Giles Peterson and DJ Spinna, and I want to make some music with DJ Spinna. And Sam's just laughing at me. He's like, fuck off, bro. Like, what are you? No, you're not.
Wow.
And so we had to prove him wrong.
That's funny.
But yeah, it was when 6 Degrees got signed to Universal, and then we're talking about remixes. I mean, you were absolutely top of mind. So yeah, it was great to have them be able to reach out to you. And also, because I didn't know you at the time as well, there is an element of gratitude for me there, and that because I was on Universal, I mean, I don't know what it was, but I imagine they had some sort of budget. So that's great too, because work's work. So I really appreciated that you were able to connect through that opportunity, and make this jam
day by day. Yes,
there we go. So I feel like. Hey, let me just get that humming in the background, and we can chat a bit about this, because I kind of have a chronology in mind of what we've done together, but I also want to just chat generally about creativity and life, and then there's definitely going to be I saw at least one Prince question in the chat already. So what up to the crew there? Alex and Alicia and everyone. I see you. I see you. Let me kick this day by day joint off, and because I've actually never spoken to you about this, like, you know, your own kind of process with it, and I do remember when the remix arrived and the A&R at Universal, Nathan Graves, he hit me up and he's like, man, Spinna's remix has arrived. So I, hightailed it down to, I think they were in Hammersmith or somewhere, to listen to the remix. And it was totally different to what I may have expected. Like,
and I imagine why, because it wasn't in the vein of compositions at all.
Right.
Not quite. Not really. It wasn't boom bap drums. It wasn't like a hip hop based thing. This is kind of four to the floor, dance floor, quirky bass line.
Totally.
But
totally.
That's where I was going at that time, the direction I was going in, because I just started venturing into dance music on the production side. I just started.
Right.
So
no one knew.
No one really knew. Days like this hadn't happened yet. This is what, 3 years before that.
Yeah.
And this might have been literally like the second or third four to the floor thing that I'd ever done. Even though it's not really house, he's kind of in the middle. But, I wanted to make something that was more dance floor friendly, I guess. But still, those drums are sampled.
Totally, man.
There's still some grit to it.
No, that's classic Spinner breaks kind of vibes on there.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know, but I imagine, 6 Degrees was, relative to genres, I guess, such an eclectic record, and definitely, in the vein of what was happening at the time, Jazzanova, Rhino Truby, all the West London cats.
Yep.
So I imagine for you that might have, I don't know, it may have been kind of like a subliminal permission to just do whatever you want,
Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was, because those were the days where I started coming to London. My first trip to London was 97, and that was my connection to Flash, to Phil Asher.
Yeah.
And he brought me to Global Distribution when they were closing, which was the distribution, the distributor for all the Bruck stuff coming out.
Yeah, before Goya even started.
Before Goya, the Bittersweet, Neon Fusion, all that stuff. And it opened me up. It just opened me up. I was open, man. Between London, Manchester, and Glasgow with Stevie Soul, which also was a Phil Asher connection. Because
of course,
the record, I did a record for Stevie Soul that Flash, actually was a Flash record that I did a remix for.
Yeah,
the name is escaping me right now, but that connectivity right there, that whole experience for me was, and this is at the tail end of what I was doing on the underground hip hop wise. Was that scene, that whole era was kind of dwindling down from its height. It peaked. It had already peaked. What they call the raucous era. So for me, it was kind of time to diversify a little bit and just get a little bit more musical. I was working more with musicians at that time, where prior I was doing mostly everything, for the most part, myself. And even if it was keyboard parts, I was sampling my own keyboard parts with the samples and the drums and everything. So it's time to stretch out. And then you and I finally connected, and we made some magic. I know I'm moving a little fast, but we're gonna get to that.
It's all good. But actually, and just speaking, obviously speaking of Phil Asher, rest in peace to Phil Asher, and he's, that you're both on this 12 is huge to me. Phil on the flip, remixing El Dia Perfecto. And I mean, how much Phil mentored me and how close we were. But especially at that time in my career, to have the two of you be the remixers for this record and be on here, it's really special, man.
And did you know Phil when that happened? Did you already know him? Or
yeah, totally. So when I came to London in '98, one of my primary connections was Nathan Haynes, because Nathan and I have been friends and collaborators from New Zealand. Right. And Nathan had just connected with Phil, and so he's like, man, you gotta come to this party. It's called Inspiration Information, and my friends Phil and Patrick are spinning. You'll fucking love it. And so I went down, and obviously lost my mind. Like, every 2 minutes, what's this record? What's this record? What's this record?
Yeah.
And then Nath was just like, oh, hey, Phil, this is Mark, plays keys. Phil, Mark, this is Phil, makes beats. And so we went in the studio the next day and did the 4-Hero Dauntless Rest of Soul remix. And then went in the studio the next day and did the Rest of Soul remix of Finidolo Blow.
Oh, yeah, that was hot.
And then the shit was just on. It was like,
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
And so, yeah, he was, Phil was an obvious pick for me as far as like, having him be part of that remix package. But yeah, man, it just meant so much that you were there. And then, I don't know if you remember, like that year before we connected on more music making, we were both in Japan at the end of the year on tour. And I had my band with me. It was like Kaidi was on drums, my boy Cameron on bass, and Manuel Bundy on cuts. And you were spinning at Club Asia, doing like one of these 8-hour sets or some, the thing that you do. And so I remember we went to that party, and that was my first time actually hearing you spin, and just hearing you go through a whole night of music where it was, open format kind of is an understatement. It was just, that shit was amazing. I remember we also had such a great night there. And we were all having a magical time in Japan anyway, just taking the band there for the first time. And then that was like the cherry on top, right? And I think me and Kaidi linked up with you for a meal maybe that trip.
I do remember that, yep. And I think we may have gone digging. Or at least I know I ended up in the record store with Kaidi.
Yeah.
And at a disc union, I think. And
I
might have a picture of that. I might have a picture of that. Yeah, but I do remember that. You remember what year that was, though?
Yeah, that was late 2000.
Yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. And that was, 2000 was my official jump off tour year in Japan. And from that point on, I kept going every single year since 2000. But I remember hanging out with you guys, and, that was...
Yeah, man, we were in Harajuku. I remember now.
Yeah,
it's coming back.
Yep.
that was 22 years ago.
22 years ago. And I think I was blown away at the fact that you spoke fluent Japanese too. At that point, I didn't know. I had no idea.
Now you know.
Well, yeah, now I know. I've known for a while now. It's part of your blood.
But yeah, man, because then you, like you're saying, you were coming to London, and when we started really working, the next kind of bit of work was that was intense. That was because you were working on the BBE record, right?
Right.
And was that already for BBE, or were you just making a record?
I think it was for BBE.
Yeah,
it was, but I may have been like in the beginnings of it. I hadn't done many tracks for it yet. And we cut some things in your place.
Yeah, man. We had, I don't know if it was 1 day or 2 days, but I feel like my memory is that we cut 12 tracks.
Was it 12?
That's my memory. And I've been trying to find, I found 3 are on the record, obviously, but I found a few others, and a bunch I can't find that I remember in my head. Like,
really? Because
we just went ham.
Yeah, I know I have about 3 or 4 of them, and you ended up giving me a disc, a DVD with the parts to them. And I remember you telling me, do the drums over and make something happen with it, like put it out. But it's still sitting. But they were amazing. And I want to say Nathan is on one of the tracks
of the demos.
Yeah, Nathan Haynes is on one of those tracks.
Dang. Yeah, and then Kaidi came around. I remember that. But yeah, that was super cool. So actually, let's jump into some of that. So this is the record that it became, right? Here to there, before you cut your hair.
Yep.
And this is part of the
years old. That's 20 years old this year too.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, man.
And it's part of the Beat Generation series. So that being Dilla's Welcome to Detroit and the Pete Strumental's Pete Rock record, and there are a few others. But I mean, what an incredible series to be part of, man.
I felt like that album, and I know some may disagree with me, but I felt like it was underappreciated a little bit in the series. And the reason why I feel that way is because, up until that point, people primarily knew me for doing hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And that album is all over the place because Peter from BBE said, make the album you always wanted to make.
Totally.
And just stretch out. So there's broken beat, there's, neo soul-y kind of stuff. Rest in peace, Ronnie Jordan. Ronnie Jordan is playing on our track with Oversoul 7.
Yep.
Soul Live is on there. It's a musically. Who else is on there is what's my comedian brother name? Why am I forgetting his name right now? Godfrey the comedian is on the outro of that album.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. And how that happened is my wife used to twist hair. She used to be a hairstylist.
Yeah.
And she used to take private appointments, and he came over for a hair treatment one day, and we connected, and I was like, hey man, I'm working on this record, and he came downstairs to my basement and recorded some vocals as the natural Nigerian man that he is, talking about the drum, the African drum.
Right. Okay, that's him. Sick.
So that's him. He's on the last track on this album.
Yeah.
Before anyone knew who he was, he was just a local, comedian on the comedy circuit. And now he's
that's dope.
But yeah, that album, I feel like it's one of those records that is probably getting more appreciation in these days and times now that people let their barriers down musically. They're just more open-minded. Back then, aside from the heads like ourselves, I don't think it was as big and celebrated as others in the series.
I mean, I think I'm gonna play some of this in a second because I know people want to hear as well. But I feel like that's something I relate to you quite a lot, in that I feel like if as a creative, as a music maker, if you want to be really exploratory and kind of search between the cracks and try and push the status quo and break the standard, then that's going to be less appreciated. It's kind of a lot easier to be like, oh, I understand what this record is because it's so consistent and it's all house music or it's all hip hop or whatever it might be. So yeah, but it just means that we all have, between you and me and so many other people, so many gems to be discovered, now and forevermore, right?
Right. But I also feel like the greats have gone through it. People that we revere in music, like Miles and Herbie, Donald Byrd, and countless, even Quincy Jones to some degree. Like, even though he became the success that he is today, he's like the godfather for all of us. But they all face criticism at some point for stretching out and going outside of their comfort zone.
How dare you be creative and do what you want?
Yes, like come on, time. The world evolves, people's movements change, and you just can't stay the same forever. Nothing stays the same, and it shouldn't.
No, for real, man. And I remember you like at my spot with the, because I had the MPC 3000, and you were chopping up the drums for this joint, for Lovers Sold. And I my distinct memory of that is you just being like, I want to make a broken beat joint. And it was cool because, you just it was your interpretation of that music, right?
Right.
And then coming together, like, let's just play this shit. Lovers Sold featuring Abdul Shalon. And so Abdul and I had just done Relax Unwind. So it all made sense. I mean, this joint is a whole journey, man.
It really is.
Whew.
And that's the MS 2000, right?
That's my old Rhodes.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, going through a ring modulator plugin. That was my trick for a while.
Flying trick.
That's the MS 2000 on the bass, for sure.
You made me get one of those, actually.
Sounds amazing. what I loved about this too is that you were just open. It was like, you know, can I go here? Can I? It's like, yeah, keep going.
Right.
Oh. We made a fucking future classic right there.
We sure did. And what's tripping me out that I forgot about, because I haven't heard this in a while, is the folkloric Japanese.
I was gonna ask you, what is that?
So I thought I might have did that in your spot, but it's like this record that I found that just had like these, you know, these folklore Japanese chants, songs, and I played it against the track and just found the bits that were in key and just. I don't even think I sampled that stuff. I think I literally played the record onto tape.
I remember that now. You're saying it all. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think I just, made it happen. But it's part of the magic, man.
Man, you saw that a cappella?
I got all the sessions.
I need that shit.
Yeah. You know what, bro? I guess I can put this on blast. I'm actually thinking about talking to Pete to have him do some kind of anniversary release, so maybe
let's make it happen, man.
We could flip a few jams on the record and put out a few remixes. We have
hell yes.
We got the Sean Escoffier joint on there too.
About to get into that shit too. But you know what's funny with this one, with Lover's Soul specifically, because you and I hadn't made music before,
right?
Together. Like I feel like this joint was the first one. I think
it was. Yeah, it definitely was.
And I felt like so much kind of freedom, creative freedom in collaborating, where it's like you do you, I'll do me, and we'll kind of meet where it ends, right? And it's interesting listening back to this now, like especially the whole harmonic construction of this track. Like I had no idea at that time how important someone like Stevie was to you, but this is that language, it's very much in that. And yeah, it must have been fun. I mean, it was hella fun for me to hear what was being made, so it must have been fun for you too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I felt like I was working with baby Herbie Hancock when I was working with you, man. And I can tell that he played. Just listening to this just now, I was like, man, I hear Herbie all in this right now. Like, I hear your influence.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
I hear it, but sonically speaking. And the choice of sounds and everything. I mean, we stretched out. You stretched out. Listen to the end of this thing.
Totally.
Pull this back and play this ending.
All my dreams
Ooh, Abdul Shalon.
Wow, that's futuristic for real, man.
For real, man.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think people got it when it came out. Like it was out there a little bit.
Sure, I mean it's a bit like, to me, the DJ Rel's album was like that too. You know,
Madlib,
it's
exactly,
like,
yep.
you know, everyone expects Madlib to do what he does, and then suddenly his take on Broken Beat, and it was just really weird for people.
Right.
But maybe that's go on.
There's so many instances of that too. Like when we think about Stevie's Secret Life of Plants and how we slept heavy on that, and when you go back and listen to it, it's ridiculous.
And it fits perfectly in his body of work too. It's not an anomaly. It's just part of the story.
Correct.
Man.
It's like the Sexton album for Herbie. Mm-hmm. Like everyone has that pivotal moment in their careers. If they're in it for the long haul, there's always going to be that dip.
100.
Like, yeah, where you're like, wait a minute, let me do something else.
Yeah, I need to challenge myself. I need to create. I need to test the boundaries to understand who else I am. You know,
right.
Yeah, man. And then we had of course, like you mentioned, the Sean Escoffery joint. This one was such a pleasure for me to make because, you know, obviously Days Like This was a huge, huge, huge anthem and is to this day. Does that joint haunt you, or you're still good with it? I'm good with it. Excellent. So you should be.
Yeah, I had to leave it alone for a while because for me it was like, oh, all right already. But I can live with the fact that it's become what it's become, and that's also 20 years old, bro. This year, that's 20 years
man.
old.
First time I heard that was at Co-op, and like, you know, house music didn't get played at Co-op, so if it did, it meant something.
Right.
That was wild. And then you were saying, oh, I want to do a joint with Sean on this record, and I have a feeling. I don't remember the moments of making this with you, but I'm pretty sure it just made itself, basically.
Yeah. So, man, I'm trying to remember. I think I may have. Did we do that? I mean, we didn't do computers back then.
This record we did nothing remotely.
So
we definitely did this all in person.
Right. I may have done the drums at home and maybe came back to London and we recorded it there. I mean, Sean didn't record with us. I think he cut it and then sent me back the tapes.
Yeah, no, I think I recorded Sean at Alex Atias's studio for this.
Oh, so you cut Sean?
I cut Sean and Abdul for these. But man, I'm so proud of being part of this track. So that's man, amazing, thank you for this one. Shit.
I find myself out of my mind. Your central rhythms got me all entwined, and I'm here again, touched by you, but still I can't get next to you. All I know, you're a gift to me, so wonderful, easy and free. You feel so good, this ain't no fake. I'm lost in you and all your ways.
We got so much music to get through.
Bro, listen. And Ronnie Jordan is on this too, man.
I mean, bro, like I never got to meet Ronnie, but obviously, you know, an absolute hero. So to be able to be on a record with him, 2 records with him through you is amazing.
Yeah, at that time, that was golden for me because, you know, at that point, I had done the Brighter Day remix for him. I had done another joint with him for his album called Mackin', and I was also on the album that came out after that called On the Record. We had a really great mutual respect for each other, and as a result of doing those records for him, he jumped on this record.
Wow.
For me, just an amazing, what a cool guy, man. What a really, really, really beautiful soul, and he's a hero in a way too, you know, like that whole acid jazz movement was so special, man. And those records,
he's a pioneer, bro.
He's a pioneer. Like he pioneered that. He's one of the pioneers of cool jazz and that movement. And we got to really bond, man. Miss him. Wish we could have done more work, but he's on this record.
He's on this record.
Amazing.
And man, I remember for me when I don't know how young I was, but when I heard his version of So What, you know, as a young jazz musician, it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. And then years later to be like, you know, once I was living in West London and with all that crew, I was like, wait, IG Culture is rapping on the Ronnie Jordan album?
Wait, I don't think I knew that.
Yes. Go back to that. Under
the IG Culture name, or he had a different name?
No, I'd have to look up the name, but yeah.
I gotta look that up. That's crazy. Wow.
Right?
That's crazy.
The man of many talents.
Right. Also, I want to note on this 12-inch, because I saw somebody say they were in the chat, they were glad that this got a 12-inch release. So I had Paul Simpson, who is another pioneer in the house music world out of New York City. He made a very cult classic record called You Don't Know, Serious Intention. He did the edits for that mix.
Oh, okay.
He did the extended version.
I didn't know that.
With the parts. He made
right. Not off a 2-track.
No, not off a 2-track.
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah. Had a connection with him at one point. It's a pretty strong connection. And interestingly enough, sidebar, around that time when he did that, he brought Kashif to my studio in Brooklyn.
Wow.
So I had a day with him and Kashif in my lab. That was crazy. And then there is a photo of that from that day.
Wow.
That exists. Yeah,
are there tracks from that day?
No, but my brother Jock Max, who you know, my old partner, he was present, and a video camera was rolling, and he has footage.
Okay.
Of us talking, of Kashif on the Fender Rhodes, just doodling and playing. Crazy. So I'm trying to get that from him, man. Because,
beautiful, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that.
Nice. And so then we had one more track together on this record that did come out, which was also really dope for me because, you know, we were doing so much experimentation with the collaboration and you in general with where you're going. But when you pulled this beat up, I was like, oh shit, this is that Compositions vibe. And you'd already, like, I remember it's like I don't know if you remember what the bass line was cut off, but the beat was already, the drums and the bass were there, right?
Right.
Do you remember what you flipped for that?
I don't remember the bass, but I know it's one note from some record, one bass note.
Oh, just one note, right?
And I just multi pitched it on the MPC and played it. You know, tapped it out on the pads, kind of like on some Pete Rock, you know, on the Pete Rock kind of vibe, you know.
Totally, yeah. And then you had the little voice cuts in there, which was really dope because then when we brought Oversoul 7 in, he wrote around that, right? And really kind of crafted around it.
It was just one word, Shirley, and he crafted the song around the cut. And I thought that was pretty genius.
As he is.
Yeah.
Straight Compositions vibes, bro.
That bass line, and I don't remember, that bass tone came from a KPM record. And it might be like one or two notes. Not one, but you know, it's all cut and tapped out.
dangerous charmer. Do just what you do. Around the way, juju. Cause I'm suffering. Pitch of good karma. Natural healing. A sudden revealing of our destiny. Send me a sign. A little something divine will do me just fine. Soon now, then now, how about it? You believe, you live to dream. Surely you can see what this means. You shall give, I will receive. Surely, etheric informing, true to me, you speak. Painfully easy. Tell me more. Travel beyond there. Stay without leaving. Leave without staying. Come into me. Don't go so slow. Let's move at God's speed. Soon now, then now, how about it? You believe, you live to dream. Surely you can see what this means.
And you know what's crazy?
What's that?
I remembered I had to program the bass around the chords in your bridge that's coming up. You laid down the keys.
Oh yeah.
Here it comes.
Sick.
Crazy.
Because, a lot of other producers might be like, knowing that the bass is built around a sample, might be like, nah, man, allow that bridge, because they don't want to reprogram the bass for the bridge, right?
Gotta get busy.
Yeah. But, man, you killed that shit.
Thank you.
No, that was just such a blessing to be part of that project, man.
Thank you. And Ronnie's on that too. That's Ronnie on guitar.
That's Ronnie Jordan again.
Yeah, man. So I think I probably just had him come over one day and just cut.
Right.
Hard. So a bunch of things on the record.
As you do, just hit record, bring up all the tracks, go for it. No, beautiful, man. So then we from that, I feel like hang on. There's a couple of demos that I do have here from that day, from those days.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's see what you got.
What have I got? What did I find? I didn't find a whole lot, but there was this groove.
Dude.
You remember this?
I do, but I don't have this. Wow. Remember this, but I don't have this.
Super rough, but because we were just knocking out ideas, right? Just churning them out. And then what else have I got? I got this one here.
have a feeling I think I have a whole other set of jams. What else you got?
Well, here's this one has two versions. So there's this one. You remember this, right?
I do.
And you know what the other version. You know what the other version is, right?
I don't remember. I have to hear it.
Excellent. Cool. So we cut this, and then at the same time I'd begun working with Leon Ware.
Wow.
And so we sent I don't know if I sent this or we sent this or what, but we sent to Leon Ware, and Leon cut a demo to it that never got finished or released. There's two things I did with Leon that never came out. One was with you, this one, and one was with Kenny, and they never came out. But I have a rough mix of Leon's here. Bless him, rest in peace, Leon Ware.
Oh, those are my drums,
back?
aren't they? Those are my drums.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, tell me your drums.
Yeah, I remember this, man. It's crazy.
How can I change the time? Can't even change my mind when it's so strong for you, so strong, baby. It's never over when it feels right time. It's never over when it's your heart stays on.
Yeah.
Amazing. I feel like that can be polished up and released.
Yeah, I need to reach out to Leon's son and see if the vocals exist, because that's like some raw MP3 bounce that Leon must have sent me.
Man.
I gotta, at some point I'll play you the joint that I did with Kenny for him. That's crazy.
So, man, do you have more demos? Because I'm looking at a file here.
Oh shit.
That says you, Kitey, me, and Nathan.
What?
Yeah, bruh. Let me see.
You can play it, right?
I should be able to.
Oh shit. Which one would this be? Oh, this is not the demo for You Should Be Loving Me.
Not at all. Hold
Okay.
on. You hear that?
Yeah. Oh, this kind of rings a bell. Dang. You still have this?
Yeah, I got. I should.
Right,
I
and
think. I hope.
it's all about those old hard drives. It's like, will it spin up? Yeah. Yes, Beto, I see you there. Yeah, I think this is all 2002 as well. This is all that same time.
But there's another one that's super, super sick.
I'm
trying to find it, and I know I have it somewhere.
all right, hang on. One more just came to mind too. Okay, I have this one, which is nuts.
It's short, right? Isn't it short?
Yeah. At that point, I don't know how high we were. So.
Exactly. So the one I'm looking for is from that session.
Right.
It's from that session. There were like 4 jams that we did, 3 or 4 jams, and the other one, man, it is so ridiculous. Trying to see if I can find it while we talk here. It was so crazy, bro. And that was the one. That was the one.
The one that got away.
It was the one. MDC. Nah, it's not it. Mark Force. See Mark Force's name on this file. So do you know what about like the remixes that we worked on?
Exactly. So that was next, bro. So I think the next one would have been this one.
Yeah, we were supposed to, create a whole thing around the name Space Cadets.
Well, it's never too late.
Yeah, there were some other instances of Space Cadets floating around, but yeah, you're right. We can still make that happen.
So let's kick this up in the background while we're chatting. Here it is. So of course with the fam, Lady Alma on vocals. And the project was Red Nose District, one of the Dutch crew on Kindred Spirits.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, but I mean, this remix, actually, both of the remixes we're going to talk about, I think they kind of came to you and you decided to let me loop Markin on this shit.
Right, exactly.
MS-2000, man, it has such a sound.
So distinct.
Mm-hmm. I think we did this in Brooklyn, yeah?
Maybe.
Wasn't something that I could describe, but I knew that I had to have him by the end of the night. If you want to with me, I said you gotta make him move. If you wanna groove with me, oh, vibe was really something. Started out real cool, felt some kind of passion with just us two in the room.
What was cool with this stuff to me was that the way you approached Broken Beat was different, and
it was hip hop.
exactly right. And it's been a huge thing for me throughout my career, just really recognizing that, especially for me in a live setting, like the Broken Beat vibe really appeals to b-boys and like hip hop heads,
right? Because of the drums.
Exactly. I mean, it's I think there's a as you may agree, I don't know, but I feel like the part of the lost history of b-boy culture is the up-tempo breaks.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation, man.
But really Broken Beat kind of spoke to that, right?
Definitely. I mean, come on. Can we talk about the origins of it real quick? Because
of course,
if there's people listening that don't know where it came from, it's a combination of different genres, drum and bass, hip hop, house, but after speaking to Aaron, Afronaut, he said one of the major influences for the whole movement was the Nervous track.
Yeah,
which is
absolutely,
which is Kenny's drums, his programming.
Yes,
and the Just Listen remix for was it Urban Species? That was the pivotal point.
Yeah, and Bug in the Basement.
Right.
Yeah.
Those were the records that laid the foundation. So it only makes sense because, those were dance records, essentially.
Exactly.
They were just trying to break up the monotony of 4 to the floor. And that's how the whole Broken Beat thing became, defined.
Yeah, like when Phil started like moving the kick around and he was calling it house, not house. And then house people like, that's not house. It's like, well, it's
Right,
not house.
Right. Which I think is a gift and a curse for the whole movement, because I remember when, you know, some of the earlier records were coming out, a lot of DJs and even club goers didn't understand how to respond to it.
For sure.
Because
I mean, yeah.
you can tell where the one is
Mm-hmm.
or the two is. It was complex.
Yeah, man.
But for me, that's what made it
It's
magical.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what made it magical. And I just found that track, so I found it in my computer, so I'm gonna send it to
Oh,
you.
shit.
found
Come
it.
on then. Come on then.
And listen, wait till you hear this bad boy.
I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, wait till you hear this thing. You're gonna be like, oh, isn't it? It's coming through. Here we go, bro. This is the bad one.
Oh,
This is the bad
yeah.
one. I was on the Juno. Kaidi
Mhm.
was on, I think, maybe Rhodes, and you might have been on the MS.
No, Kaidi's on the MS. I'm on the roads, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You had a Salinas in your house too, right? I think.
Yeah, I had an Omni 2.
Remember this?
Yeah, man. I have a photo from the surrounding hour of this moment.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is,
I think Kaidi's holding the joint.
Hold your joint. Mm.
Yeah, man. I think we're gonna have to get this out in the world.
There we go.
I gotta figure this out.
And just, you know, so fun just to be creating without like, oh, we got to make a house track, or we got to make a whatever track, or it's got to fit Spotify, or it's got to whatever. We're just making music. Like,
Yeah, this was a jam session, man. That's what this was.
Exactly.
Where is that bass coming from?
From the MS.
Wow.
Man, my downstairs neighbor must have been hating us that day.
Yeah, this is an epic jam, bro.
Crazy. Mm. Man, I wish I still had that Rhodes. That specific Rhodes, I sold it when I was moving to LA, and I was like, I'll go to America, I'll get a Rhodes there. But there's never one like that one.
Man, what made it special?
It just, I mean, you can hear it. It just has a tone and a feel. It was my first Rhodes, and it should have been my last Rhodes, but some kid got it and hopefully gave it a loving home.
Wow. Yeah, man.
I remember coming to your place one time. Actually, while I'm talking, I'm just going to put the John Cutler remix on in the background. That one.
Wow. My goodness.
I remember coming to your spot in Brooklyn one time, and we were supposed to work, and I remember being so jet lagged. I have a recollection of pretty much curling up in fetal position under the studio equipment and just going to sleep on the floor.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, this is the other Space Cadets remix. There's only 2 of them exist, right?
Yeah, that's it. As that under that name, anyway.
Yeah.
I love this record, man.
That one there.
For you to come home to me, don't wanna hear you say I'm sorry. You can keep it alive, keep it say goodbye. Only so much a girl can say. Man,
Is that Eric Krasno?
Yeah, because I was working closely with him around that time, but I think that's live bass also.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who played on that. That might have been.
Bro, 20 years ago I could have read it off the label, but I can't anymore.
I know, it sucks. I gotta go online right now to try to find information.
I can probably take a photo and zoom the photo.
Crazy, man.
Wow, okay.
Jay Rodriguez on
Jay Rodriguez on flute, Eric Krasno on guitar, Nick Cohen. Do you remember this group? What were they called? It was a UK trio. They used to improvise kind of live dance music, the something. But Nick played in that.
So who you got him? You must have gotten him for that.
Yeah. Jay Rodriguez. Shit.
Jay cut his flute in my spot. Jay Rodriguez from Groove Collective.
From Groove Collective.
Damn, what group is Nick Cohen in? I need to. Oh, and then we have Sarah Webb on vocals from The Influence. Can't forget her.
Yes.
Major. That was big. That was a big deal for me too.
Totally. And then, of course, the flip side with the Afronaut remix, crazy. Right. Ooh. Straight vibes, man.
Beautiful. So
we made some joints.
We really did, and we need to do more, bro.
You know.
Nick Cohen was in Vibraphonic.
Oh, what's Vibraphonic?
Vibraphonic was an acid jazz era group.
Okay.
He also played with Sunburst Band, the Smug Brothers, Jack Bruce and his Big Blues Band, and his alias is Kushti, something like that. But that bass is killing on that record, though. He's killing
it, man. And Jay I forgot Jay shreds on this. Body and soul vibes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, man. It's funny. I didn't meet Jay till he came and played one of the church New York parties, years later. And I didn't even clock then that he was on this. So that's cool. Yeah, amazing musician.
He's serious.
I mean, that first Groove Collective record, fuck,
it's classic, man.
Whew.
That was an era, though.
That was an era. Yeah, ERA.
That was a great era. Early 90s, 90, 91, 92.
Yeah.
The merging of jazz, funk, live, some hip hop influences, breaks, scratches. Nothing compares. That's incomparable vibes right there. Crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, Giant Step wouldn't have existed otherwise. And I don't know if OK Player would have happened otherwise. It seems like part of the same lineage.
Totally. I mean, Giles had the roots before America did.
Right.
So it makes total sense. I mean, they were carrying on that tradition of live musicianship, hip hop based, but jazz, heavy jazz influences, etc.
Yeah, man. Wait, so tell me why this next one is not on Track Source or anywhere.
Which one is this? It was on Traxsource. I gotta, I gotta redo my deal with Wonder Wax.
Okay.
With Traxsource. Politically,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to badmouth nobody right now. Or
Of course.
Traxsource, but let's just say Bandcamp is amazing.
Oh, is it on Bandcamp?
It's on Bandcamp.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all good then, and we'd rather be on Bandcamp. So,
but it's gonna be back. All the Wonder Wax releases will return to Traxsource very soon.
Now, I always got confused which one's your version and which one's Dennis's flip, but this is your version, right?
That is. So I don't know if you remember the drama surrounding this
Oh
release.
my God, so much drama.
It was so much. It took like 4 or 5 years for this record to be finalized. And I'll break it down for people watching and listening. So we recorded this, I think, on the east side of London.
No,
right?
we made the basic bones of it on all the music at my place upstairs from Phil's place.
Right.
And then we were still in West London, but we went to this guy Antonio's studio to cut Finn and everyone.
Right. So we had Finn, we had Kaidi, who was on percussion. I forget the percussionist.
Maybe Carl Vanden Bosch, I'm not sure.
I think it was a black dude.
Yeah, might have been Carl. Yeah.
Finn Peters in on that too?
Yep.
He was, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Flute.
Mm-hmm.
So we recorded it. Everything went well. And at the end of the session, we find out that the engineer did not save the session to the disc, whatever board they had. It wasn't saved properly, so we fucking lost everything. All we had was whatever we cut at your spot,
right? Which
was the Rhodes.
Yeah, the Rhodes bass, a bit of synth, the beats. Yeah.
We lost Oversoul's vocals. Mm-hmm. We lost everything, and it was. I don't even. Yeah. So, but we left the studio with I think a rough. We had a rough mix.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if I gave this. I think I played it in a mix because I don't remember giving this to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And someone clipped the song from that mix, and this was like the early days of file sharing, and it just got out there, and that was a nightmare because people were playing this rough version.
Right. Now we know how Dwelle feels.
Right. So then I had to put it back together. So I ended up going to Carlos Nino's studio in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And Oversoul came in. We cut the vocals over.
I didn't know that was at Carlos's. Okay.
Yeah, we had to cut the vocals over.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had Kaidi trying to recut his Moog, and believe it or not, it wasn't sounding right.
Yep.
And that's no, diss to him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was using a real prodigy, a Moog Prodigy for it. I think he was using like a VST or something like that. And it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I have the Prodigy, so I had Salon.
That's right. Salon Lerner, yeah.
And the flute,
I feel like Finn redid it.
Finn did redo it.
Yeah.
He did redo it. And was that all the parts? Yeah, the percussion, that was just lost. I think I just looped up whatever we had from the original. So that's the loop from that. But the silver lining to all of this was I had Dennis Ferrer do the remix.
Yes.
So that was crafted with me present from the beginning to the end. I was in his studio and watched him put together. He, I approved some of the sounds he used, the drums, everything, and we built it from the ground up.
That's interesting.
And that was kind of like the last super soulful thing that Dennis did before Hey Hey, and his career just took off. That was like the last thing he did. So that was a blessing. But it took probably about, what year is, I think this is like 06, 07 when this record came out.
When it came out, yeah, maybe. And what does it say on the label? It's again, I can't read it, but
I'm looking it up. I want to say, let's see, for 08, bro. Jeez.
wow,
08.
because so probably 4 years then, yeah.
So 4 or 5 years for that record to come
You know-
out, but it was worth it though in the end.
Oh, so worth it. I remember, like, when we did that whole day was booked. Like, I remember we started at my place in the morning. The music just kind of played itself. Like, probably more than anything that I've done with you, I remember just came out. And then we caught a cab to Antonio's studio. And while we were working with the percussion and with Finn, Sabella, Oversoul 7, was writing the song. And by the time we finished cutting the music parts, he had finished writing the song. And I remember hearing him laying it down, just thinking it's so beautiful and there's so much story. And he was like, "Do you know what the story is?" And I was like, "Man, I don't." And I forget the specifics, but it's a Bible story. So he took the archetype of this Bible story and he shaped it into this soulful house joint, which is so him, but just so wild. And then, had the files been saved, then this whole thing would have happened in the space of one day, which is amazing.
Right. Crazy. And correction, it was Carlos Los Litos studio.
Oh, Carlos Lozito's studio, yeah. The Rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we redid it. Yeah, man. So that's how that record got done.
Woo, we got there in the end.
Yeah.
But
I just remembered how I felt so cheated at the end of that session. It was like one of the biggest disappointments ever to have that happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, crazy, bro. After all that, we had everybody rounded up, cut this beautiful record, and gone, like lost. And it's not like we found out like a day later. We found out at the end of the session. Like, how do you leave a session feeling gutted out? Like your whole gut's been taken out like that?
from such a beautiful day, such a creative, productive day, and then it's gone.
Right. Crazy, bro.
Man, so special. And I mean, like you said, at the start of our conversation, there's so much of this that very few people know about, really. Relative to, for example, Drake dropped the House album today, and everyone knows about it. But the music has been in the culture for so long, and so many of us have been part of shaping its lineage, and you've been such a huge part of that. And so I do hope that people, I hope that crate diggers never go away, even in this digital world,
Right. I don't think it will. And in fact, records have increased in sales in recent time, outselling CDs, and I do believe there's a generation that never experienced it, that appreciate it, and keeping it alive, and dude, I buy records still a lot, and basic records are drying up. Basic jazz, soul, funk records that we used to find in the bins for $4, $5, $10 are now like $20, $30, $40, $50.
Man, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's people are chasing now like common but important historical pieces of music.
Yeah.
From Isaac Hayes to Earth, Wind & Fire to Led Zeppelin to Miles Davis to like anything of cultural reverence and importance. Original pressings are sought after right now.
For real.
Like crazy. So forget about the rare stuff, which is a constant battle to conquer. Just the rare things are getting, but it's good and it's bad. I mean, the music is being preserved in a real kind of organic way.
Mm-hmm.
Digital ain't going nowhere, but if you have something tangible to feel and play, it means more. You have more of an attachment to it.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on that totally.
It's the same thing with collecting hardware synths and drum machines and keyboards.
Oh yeah. I'm never selling my 3000. Forget it.
Nah, bro, I got 2 of them.
Are you still using the 3000 when you're doing production?
No, I use machine. But,
right, same, yeah.
But look, nothing beats that sound. Like even listening to a lot of these things we're reflecting on.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing that punchiness coming out the MPC of the drum program. I'm like, damn, nothing sounds like that.
I know, right?
Nothing sounds like that.
Man, I had one show in New Orleans maybe 8 years ago or so, and my laptop died when I was about to leave LA. And so, I'm using machine, right? So I was like, okay, no laptop, this is a problem. I guess I'm going to pull out the 3000 and the Korg Radius. So I pulled them out, and I hadn't even opened the MPC 3000 in years out of its flight case. And, found some zip disk. It was like, 2003 live drums. Like, okay, cool, loaded them up. And that shit sounded incredible.
Yep.
And it's the same drum sounds that I was using a machine, but just no comparison.
Yeah,
shit
man.
was wild.
Nothing compares, and same goes for like the SP1200
Mm-hmm.
and those like super analog.
Yeah, man.
Drum machines. There's a remix we forgot about.
Go on.
And I'm trying to find
Really?
Yeah, man.
I'm trying to think if I can think of it before you find it, but I can't. I'm
only seeing the instrumental in my computer right now, but I don't want to tell you what it is. I kind of want you to figure it out. It's one of your peoples too.
How are you for time, bro? I don't want to.
I'm good. Okay, right
cool.
now. Yeah.
Damn. There's definitely a few questions that were in the chat I want to circle back to.
Okay.
But yeah, wait. There's another. It came out.
Yeah, it came out. Yeah.
Space Cadets or.
It may not have been Space Cadets, but you're playing on it for sure.
Huh.
Man.
I mean, I've definitely had that moment in a club where I'll hear a tune and I'll be like, "Man, what's this tune?" And the DJ's like, "Dude, it's you."
I'll tell you what. I'll play the instrumental, and then maybe you can see. Let's see if you remember.
Okay.
Who the artist is on?
Oh shit! The blindfold test. Here we go.
I think this is you. Maybe Salon. I could be wrong, but it's still your people's. This sounds like Salon. Yeah, that's Salon. I think it's lyric. It's lyric L.
Mezmerized. It's one of my tunes. That's why.
Okay. There we go. That's why I got it mixed up. Yeah, because your name is tagged as the artist on the file.
Man, I don't even have this like digital vinyl nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I definitely have it on vinyl. I just got to re-record it because somehow the
Pino Palladino is playing on the original too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Pino, Miguel Fuentes on percussion.
So this was on your first album, wasn't it?
No, this was a cut which didn't make the Tides Are Rising album.
Okay. Damn, I wish I could find that.
But yeah, that instrumental sounds nice, man.
I wish I could find this vocal.
Yes, Beto, that howl joint. So actually, while we're in studio headspace, Beto was asking earlier that Here to There record, did that get mastered onto tape?
That's a good question. I don't think it did. I cut it to tape. Well, it was cut to ADAT tape, not 2-inch tape. It was cut to. It was all digital, and then I took it to Rick Essig at REM Sound, which is a proper mastering house. And it was mastered for vinyl and digital, but we didn't go to tape. I don't have any quarter-inch tape or 2-inch masters on that record.
Who was that Japanese engineer?
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yes. He's still around?
He's still around.
Wow.
He's
a great engineer.
Yeah, he did a lot of records for me.
Yeah.
including that You Should Be Loving Me. He mixed that as well. Well, out the original version, he mixed it.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. I'm just scrolling back through questions, and it's definitely we covered most of them in our general conversation. But I hope Alicia is still on here. So Alicia is a huge Prince fan. You know, there's Prince fans and there's Prince fans, right? She's a Prince fan, and so you can see there the question. Can you speak on your Prince origin story?
Interesting. So my Prince journey, it started in the 80s. I mean, I can't say that I understood 100% albums like Dirty Mind, the self-titled. You know, I started getting into him, though I loved Controversy. I loved the singles that he had, Soft and Wet, as a kid. But I really got immersed in his music 1999, but especially Sign of the Times is my favorite album. I think that was like, that's for me, that's Prince's Songs in the Key of Life. For so many different reasons, for subject matter, you know, content, production, and you know, it's, you know, people revere Purple Rain soundtrack is his best work. But for me, Sign of the Times was really, it was just crazy, man. So that was the beginning of it, and I sort of dipped out in the early 2000s, well, late 90s, I should say, and got back into it more when I started doing the events. I went back and I realized that he was so prolific and he never wavered on his creativity, and every single record he made was intentional and special for you know, on his level. Everyone else may not have been able to get it, but it made me understand him more as an artist. And you know, even you know, a lot of people always kind of say that, you know, they have their cap, but as a Prince fan, there's something beautiful to experience in all of his albums, even the even the MPG releases, you know, the things that he did, you know, and then not to mention the branches, all of the very many branches that he spread his creativity out to, with his label and artists that he worked with. And that wormhole, I started, you know, just, I'm still discovering things. Like, it's just
crazy, right?
It's insane. And I did Paisley Park a couple of weeks ago for the Prince celebration, and I went inside and I saw he has this wall with plaques of artists that he, you know, platinum, gold plaques or whatever. And I'm just like looking at this wall, and it's not just his records, man. It's so many people that he touched. Either they recorded at Paisley Park or he produced them. Just insane. Like, I can't even, you know, more than the majority of artists that we love, that man was a serious workaholic. Like, he definitely makes me feel super lazy. He put so much work in, so much. I don't think he ever slept. And I was in there's a room, the green room that we used for artists. I was told that was his bedroom, and there were no windows in this room.
Okay.
And it freaked me out a little bit. I was like, how can you have a bedroom with no windows? And then I was told, because he appreciated sleep that much and he couldn't sleep, that he needed to be this recluse within his own dwelling.
Right.
That quietness, no outside distraction, you know. I can't see myself doing
sleeping
that,
in a tomb.
but you know, I guess for him it was necessary for him to, you know, I think his brain was probably on fire so much that he just needed to be that disconnected within his own space in order to give himself time to regenerate his brain.
Totally.
But dude, man, unbelievable. Like,
Wow.
it's overwhelming to be in that. I felt his presence in that place.
Yeah, man. I've never been. It's definitely a bucket list destination, Paisley Park.
Yeah, you got to go. I think it'll change your life. It'll make you. It will inspire you to go hard, go even harder. Because he knew what he was worth. He knew the value just based on just being in his dwellings and seeing how this compound that he created for himself.
Mm-hmm.
He created this opportunity for him to be totally independent of everything. He didn't need a club. He didn't need a performance space. He didn't need a rehearsal space. He didn't need any studios. He could do it all in his place and not worry about anything. Like, it's like being in a fantasy land, man. It's unbelievable.
Do you think? I mean, obviously, as far as levels go, it's pretty much untouchable. But do you think that there are artists today who have? I mean, I want to say on that level, basically, like Prince, Michael, Stevie, the pantheon.
It's really, really hard to think of anyone who. I think people's trajectories have changed over time. And, I can't speak for all artists or, the most successful of them all. But I think these people that we're talking about, they just had a different life journey.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're talking about artists that perform, that sell out arenas anywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
There aren't too many, hardly anybody that aren't on the level of that, or like a Rolling Stones, or, that can do that. Aren't too many. And, it really depends on how you measure success and what your end game is and what you're trying to accomplish for yourself. But I would say that these guys, they created an environment for themselves that's warranted, and it's their reward for their decades of hard work. Stevie Wonder, 5 decades in.
Yeah.
5-6 decades in.
Mm-hmm.
60 from 65 till present.
5th decade going strong.
That's a long time. And he became a pop star at 13 years old. He wasn't just an R&B soul artist. He was pop. When he made Fingertips, he was pop. So imagine, and Michael Jackson, same thing. Prince was 16, 17, 18, when he made his first records, at a time where that was unprecedented. And, the industry was different then. People have it a lot. You know what's funny? I was just on a conversation with Charles Wright of 103rd Watt Street Band, Express Yourself, major funk impresario, soul impresario. Did this thing for Warner Brothers earlier, another chat, and he told me something very interesting that I wanted to bring up in this conversation. Just get your standpoint on it. But he said that from the time that drum machines and synthesizers were introduced to popular music, we have lost our way, because the pulse and the driving force behind the drums is forced, and it doesn't connect naturally with our natural heartbeat, because there's no human emotion behind the drums and the pulse. It's forced. And it kind of threw me for a loop. I understand where he's coming from,
Mm-hmm.
but he's in a place where he just can't tolerate it. He can't listen to it. And he thinks that the frequencies today in particular with drum machine produce, and I think I'm guessing that maybe what he's really talking about is the world of you know, popular culture, hip hop music with the low frequency, the super low 808
Yeah, the
frequencies
808s, yeah.
that's happening now in
Mhm.
popular music. He said it's crushing to the soul and humanity, and we're losing our way. And the spirituality, he said, one key thing, the spirituality is what's missing from the music. And
Hmm.
back when it was all about live musicianship, there's a spirit, there's a human spirit that went into the recordings of all of these records, and that's why people responded to them a certain way. And as time is progressing and evolving, we're
Mhm.
moving further and further away from that. And he said he feels like it's detrimental to the spirit, to the soul. What do you?
I
It's hard. It's hard for me to. I understand one side of it, but
sure,
being that we're electronic guys
sure.
and we try to implement both.
I mean, I have two thoughts on it. One is, and it aligns with what Bido just put in the chat too. But then Dilla comes, you know, like we hear the humanity through Dilla's production, and he was using machines.
Right.
And I don't think that I don't think that comes down to, you know, how he used quantized grids or didn't. It's just, you know, he put his soul into his creations. And so for me, the machines aren't so much the problem, so much as that when we talk about the, you know, the greats and the legends and the history of the music, I feel like, you know, when it comes to, you know, Prince, Michael, Stevie, and Quincy and whoever else, I don't feel like they viewed their craft as product. Firstly, I think some of them understood that it was interfacing with an industry as product, but, you know, like David Bowie, he was making art. You know, it happened to become product. But I feel like now there's a precedence where if you're making commercial music or music for the masses, that first and foremost in mind is that it is product. And to me, that's what has sucked the soul out of music. Not to want to sound like an old man, but
Nah, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. And
because, you know, electronics, it's like, I mean, look at, you know, Kraftwerk or all sorts of shit. It's like
there's been some serious innovation.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's some awful music that's acoustic, like, you know.
Yeah.
Not to be a hater.
Yeah, nah, for sure. It's all about the soul behind the music and the machines, man. You know, Dilla is a great example of that. And maybe Mr. Wright just didn't experience the right artists or producers behind it. But he's definitely coming from a place of being in the music industry and times changing, having the success of you know, the soul and funk era, and then I think a lot of R&B and soul artists, when we entered the 80s and, you know, the impact that MIDI and keyboard synthesizers and all that stuff had on music, a lot of them got caught out there and they couldn't adjust.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And Prince is a great example of someone who comes from that, but he grabbed all of that by the balls.
Yeah, man.
And took off.
Yeah, Jam and Lewis, all them lot.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the funk bands that were able to evolve into the new era of the 80s after funking out, Kool and the Gang included, so many of them. And, you know, then the pen game became more important, writing hit songs, production, but adapting to, you know, technology. I mean, Herbie Hancock, come on, Rocket.
Totally.
One of the biggest records of all time, for him. I think, going back to Mr. Wright, I think he just, you know, he became a victim of evolution and he refused to adapt, and it didn't resonate with his soul. And I think for a lot of artists that happened to them. If you couldn't adapt, then you were just stuck, and that pretty much ended your career. You know, a lot of people didn't survive the 80s. Music industry changed, demands changed,
Mm-hmm.
and the consumers' ears changed. You know, imagine I mean, you know what's funny about this though? The other side of this conversation is then we have the acid jazz movement. We have all the cool jazz stuff coming out of the UK, you know, the brand new heavies, the Jamiroquais, all that stuff we were talking about earlier, which kept it pretty acoustic and live.
Yeah, they kept it live for sure.
But still was able to speak to the younger generation somehow. And I think maybe hip hop played a major role in that, because that was the underbelly for a lot of it.
Definitely.
You know, samples, and drum break samples and scratches, and all of that fused in with live funk and jazz. Like,
yeah, same with Jazzmatazz and Groove Collective, and
right, exactly. So but then, you know, that movement is also very free to a certain degree. It didn't fall within the confinements of music industry where you had to come up with these massive hit songs that you know, you may have gotten lucky, like a brand new heavies, where you have a Never Stop or a Dream Come True that just happens to be an amazing song and it charts and it does well. But the belly of that it's still live.
And it's for the love. Like, they're making it for the love. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like the UK jazz scene right now is revitalizing that whole thing. Like, there's so much amazing music coming out of and the States too, but definitely more so in the UK, the new jazz scene. I'm feeling it, you know, a lot.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. I mean, the UK, I mean, you know, that's what a big part of what kept me there for a decade. It's always been so progressive. I mean, you know, jungle, two-step, you know, UK dubstep, broken beat, grime, all that. Just, you know, all these amalgamations that I don't believe they could have happened anywhere else in the world, and they certainly could not have happened in America. Like, you had to be kind of outside America to be able to play with those influences without feeling constrained by them.
Right.
I think.
Which is precisely why I jumped off the grid, because I could have easily been one of those popular DJs that just stayed in the clubs and did mainstream stuff. And I was there, I did it. It was boring, because what happened was people kept wanting to come out to hear the same records they hear on the radio. And I could not do that. And after going to Japan and going to the UK and Europe, you know, Paris, Berlin, whatever, like all these other places, and seeing how music, the response to good music was over there, and I didn't have to do that other thing. I was like, oh man, this is it. This is where this is me. This is where I need to be right now. Hip hop will always be there, but I don't have to do top 40. That's
totally,
that's done for. Like, and I've never turned back, and I don't have any regrets, because there's so much more to be discovered. I feel bad for the American music culture sometimes when it comes to like the major broad stroke of it all, because they're missing out on so much. Everybody is so into like whatever is the hot new thing.
Totally.
And unfortunately, programming has a lot to do with it, you know.
Programming as in the music that gets put on, not the beats being made.
Yeah, exactly. And what's being pushed. I mean, we have the internet, so there's that option too. People to self-discover. It's a little harder to find things that way sometimes. But you know, we just keep pushing. The greatest thing about technology now is what you're doing right here with your fans. You know, Patreon, and you know, people having direct connections to their fan base to alert them on what's really going on with their favorite artists, and
totally
people in the same, you know, like-minded openness.
Yeah, man.
So you gotta take control of it, not the other way around.
100%. Cool, man. We've been on almost 2 hours, and it's been really great to chat with you and chop it up over some sounds and stories. We got to make some more music.
We are going to, man. We it's an absolute must. It's a must.
And you're officially part of the band now for Tuesday, right?
Let's go.